Today we're going to look at our friend who's on live. He's on live and he's disappeared for a while. I haven't seen his channel. I don't know where he's gone. Maybe I've unsubscribed. I'm not entirely sure. But this is Thunder Wizard on the right. And his life was changed by alien contact. He did the protocols, those ones that I think Dr. Greer set up. And they began to communicate with him and changed his whole life. Changed his whole fucking life. So I want you to listen to some of what he says.
Impossible. I know enough to know that nobody on another radio can make those sounds the way it comes out like that. And then I got scared. and I said out loud, I said, okay. First I said, are you here? And I didn't hear anything. And when I went back and looked at the video, you can hear a response. Yes.
Wow.
And the crazy part is it sounded like my voice. Really, so anyway, after that, I was absolutely determined. I said, I have to have an experience. If this is real, I have to. And I made it clear to them. I said, I'm going to take this as far as it can go. Even if it kills me, I have to experience this. I have to prove it or prove that it doesn't exist. And then that's when this guy showed up. And I did it one more time, and that being showed up, and the power was undeniable. People want to go watch it on my channel, How I Became an Extraterrestrial. You can hear me on the verge of tears because I was so afraid. Not because of anything negative. The energy was beautiful. And if I hadn't consciously been thinking, I just saw this red mantis being in my mind, and I can feel something touching my head. If that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have been scared.
Yeah.
Scared out of my mind.
So anyway. I want to pause just for a moment. So the way that it showed up at this time was a strong inner vision. Is that what you were saying?
The first thing, all three of the times I had this experience where I had like a telepathic fantasy. And so I told myself, I'm making this up. I've come to realize, and I write about this in my book, I've come to realize that telepathic communication to a higher dimensional being demands that you use your imagination.
Yeah.
I mean, as a channeler, you know that. That is the doorway. But we can't tell all the time. But one of the ways you can tell you're having a telepathic communication with an actual light being is, first off, you'll feel energy. Feel all kinds of energy, maybe in your body or around. If your radio goes off, that's a sign they're here. And of course, they only do that to get our attention and make us realize it's not us just making things up. And then a thought will come, and it'll feel like you're imagining it.
Yeah.
But there will be something about it that maybe doesn't sit right. You go,
yeah. My experience was, why would I imagine that?
Yeah.
How did I come up with that? Or there was something that was just beyond imagination. You can feel the subtle difference. And sometimes it's more overt, but sometimes it is subtle.
Here is another one. This is another. Hold on. Let's get into it.
Or instead of just like saying something else completely different, like the visitors our science fiction or our lore was based on people living inside the earth. They'd be from the inner earth. So people think space aliens only because of Star Trek and Buck Rogers and old Flash Gordon movies and this kind of thing. That's how they became associated. This is why the first ever real flap of these things in the modern era were called ghost rockets. And they appeared over Scandinavia almost instantaneously following Parsons and Hubbard's Moonchild working in the Mojave Desert, which amazingly, when they got back to the Agape Lodge in Pasadena, there was Marjorie Cameron waiting for them, Parsons' future wife, who was exactly at the Babylon to create the Moonchild that he had envisioned based on a picture on the cover of a book. And amazingly, even more so, she was one of the first, if not the first person in the United States to make an official report of having seen a flying saucer. Now, you think you live in an ordinary world and everything is like straight up in black and white. You most certainly do not. And this is what you should be taking from these things. It's one more. You should be feeling very privileged to live in a time when these things are happening in New Jersey. I know I am, because it's just part of this magical wonder that this realm that we inhabit is filled with mysteries and makes us feel this way. It makes us feel
this way.
A sense of wonder. Those of you who think now, why is it not a government site? It's too big. It's too complex. They don't have that kind of technology. And when people say, "Oh, they do," here's a patent from something that said a drone that came out of the sea that was patented in 2016. Listen, millions and millions and millions and millions of things get patented, right? Every year. Just because someone went down to the patent office with some drawings and a basic outline and paid the fee doesn't mean that ever went into production or ever was actually utilized. So these people are whip out patents to prove all kinds of things. That means nothing. And I think
well, he's saying something quite interesting, that you don't fucking know what it is. I love it when people say they say something like, that's not real. You don't fucking know what's real. We don't know shit. We're all dumbed down here in our fucking earth world with our five senses. We don't know a motherfucking nothing. There's probably all kinds of shit. We just don't know what it is. We may have a name for something that we think. We don't know shit. We really don't. There's all kinds of shit that we're not aware of. And that's what makes this world amazing. When it starts to show up and do shit. So he's standing on I'm thinking, he's saying it's like the fairies, the fae, which will project some sort of image that they try to shapeshift and look like something that's normal to us, but they're not all able to pull it off. That's why some of them are glitching out and doing weird shit. And I like that. I'll go with that too. I think something like that's highly likely and definitely possible. But I'm still completely unaware of what it is. But there's now a list of probabilities where on the top is the Black Project fucking drone. Number 2 is, I guess it has to be weird creature that's projecting that image. Maybe it's not shape-shifting and turning actually into a drone with all the moving parts, but it's appearing to be what it does using its abilities. That's interesting. The fucking ghost ships.
No, it just means nothing. It's only what they put into development. Also, this may come as a shock to some of you, the people behind the Black Ops aren't down at the patent office. Now, where we can find things where, like the Gateway process, where the CIA and US military looked into the supernatural, what they discovered was it really does exist. What did they do with it? Nothing, because they couldn't fully understand how it worked. And this is what's really going on. The reason why the US government is silent about it is because they do know what it is, what I'm talking about, these manifestations, but they can't explain it. They don't know how it works. It's a complete mystery to them, and they're not going to sit there and tell them it's a paranormal event created by your consciousness resolving an uncanny valley experience into something that is collapsing the wave function and the matter and the energy around it in order to create a telepathic resolution in your mind that you can hopefully understand. No, the average public couldn't understand that. And a lot of politicians and scientists can't understand it either, because they wouldn't have the intelligence to be there. They're so in the system. So it's not that either. There's just too much of it now. It's just too much. They don't have it. I mean, why? You know, that's the whole thing. Is like they use direct energy weapons to attack the United States. Why? You're on your enemies. You know, people, and then
It's because they love us so much.